Hey friends, so in this video I want to talk about how we can use the uh, nested array or 2D array, and then how we can operate on 2D array and use hash map initialization tricks on it when we are defining the two-dimensional array. So let's consider the structure over here. Here we have the array of array, and each array element, if you see, let's consider that this array element defines the first value is the order ID, and the second element is the product ID. So 1 2, basically the product ID is 1 and the order ID is 1 and the product ID is 2. The second element is 1 3. So in this case the order ID is 1 and the product ID is 3. So what we need to do is that we need to find out, like, for the order ID 1, how many product we have, how many product order we have. So the return type we are expecting is something like where we for example, if 1 is the order ID, then the value that we are looking for is that 2 comma 3. Similarly, for if the order ID is 2, then we are looking for the value of 3 comma 2, right? So something like this. So the return type that we are expecting is something like that. Basically we want to group all the product that associate with that order ID, and how we can achieve this. So I am in the Ruby terminal, and I would like to show you some of the options that we can look into while defining or while achieving our goal. One of the one of the go-to approach that I have seen many people using is that what they do is that they will first basically initialize the hash map. So if I see that as hash, and then they define the hash map. Define this hash map. So this hash map is empty. It's not initialized here. Don't have any value. And what we are expecting as an output is that we want a key. So order ID is going to be our key, and the value is going to be array, right? So we need to initialize all the keys in the hash map with array, so that we can, keep adding more and more value to it, or keep appending the more and more value to the array. So in order to do that, what we need to do is we cannot just initialize empty hash, but we need to initialize the hash with empty array. So if you have seen before, we can pass the hash map with pass the block, and it basically takes the hash map with h is hash map and key is the key of the hash. And then what we can do is that we can initialize our key with the empty array. So once we do that, basically each key will be initialized with the array. So now we have our hash map or hash in Ruby terminology. Then what we can do is that we can take this input array, we can apply each, and we can do can write the do block here. What we're gonna do is that we will have this key value here, and then for hash, what we wanna do is that for the key we want to append the value, the hash map, and once it's done we can enter. Now if we print our hash, we'll have the return value that we are expecting. So our order ID 1 has the product ID 2 and 3, 2 has the product ID 3 and 2, and 3 has a product ID of 1. So we can confirm that from our input, and it's the valid answer. Now, one of the modifications we can do to our code is that instead of defining the hash map outside the loop, what we can do is we can utilize the reduce method in hash map. Reduce method on array. So what it allow us to do is that we can basically pass accumulator, or we can pass we can pass the accumulator to it. So let's see what we can do with that. So first we have this 2D array, and we can use the reduce. As I said, it takes accumulator. We can pass the object that we want to use, and here we want to use the hash map. So what we can do is that we will use the hash dot new, and we'll pass the same block that we used above. We will get the h and k. H is hash map and k is a key, and for each key we'll define the empty array. That's what we did before, and this is what we get in the reduce method. This is what we get into the this is what we get as a reduce method. Now we can pass the do block. Do block will take a couple of items. So first thing that do block get is the accumulator. So in this case our accumulator is hash, and then we have this key value since there are two elements in the array. And now what we can do is that we can use this hash. We can pass the key, and we can append the value using the shovel operator, and we need to return the hash since we need to get the hash back once the loop ends, right? So if I enter it, I get the output here as the hash with the key and key as order ID and the product ID as the array of the product ID. So this is one of the modification. I think it's good to have, because in this case we don't have to define anything as outside of the loop, any variable unnecessary. We could just inject that when we need. So this is I feel it's much better approach. We can also use another method called each with object on array. So if there's a method called each with object. Now what this method is going to do is that it will again allow us to define the any object that we would like to initialize. So we can, for example, pass again the hash dot new here, and then we can refer to that and then get the output. So it's going to be a little bit similar to what we did with the reduce, and the only thing is that it allow us to pass the object that we would like to initialize and use on the element that we are iterating over. So this is another method which is available on the array. Now let's tweak our question a little bit. So let's say that now this array basically explains that the key is product, and the value is how many quantity of that product has been ordered. So for example, here the one product ID 1 and the quantity is 2, then the second product ID is 1 and the quantity is 3. So for if we want to what we want to do is that we want to tell that how many how many quantity was sold. So what we can do is that we need to sum up, right, by key. So for the product ID 1, we can add the 2 plus 3, that will become 5, and for the product ID 2, we'll again add 3 plus 2, and that becomes 5. For the product ID 3, there's only one quantity that's been sold, so the output would be 1. So this is a little bit different use case. So let's see how we can use the same logic that we defined above. We'll define the hash map here. We'll again pass the block here, same h key, and for each k Now here we cannot define the array. We need to define it 0 because we're gonna add the element. We're not gonna just collect the element in array, but we need to add those element and update the value for the quantity, right? So that's why we need to make it 0 here. And then we can use the do, and first one is going to be our hash, and then we have the L, and then for the hash key we have, as I said, we need to update the value. So we need to add the value, return the hash at the end, and then get this. So here we can see that the output of for product ID 1 we have 5 quantity, product ID 2 we have 5 quantity, and product ID 3 we have quantity 1. So yeah, that's all I wanted to discuss in this video. Basically we can utilize the reduce method, and we can pass the accumulator, and in the accumulator we can initialize our hash map and collect the values in the hash map, and by doing that we don't have to define any variable outside the loop, and we get the output without defining any external hash. We could just inject the hash when we need inside the loop. So let me know if you have any question or feedback for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for your time.